Now today we will take the protein marker or the biochemical markers. Okay, so before discussing about the protein markers or a biochemical markers, just we'll discuss some about just something about the previous classes that we have taken on the taxonomic tools. Okay, so there are, as you have seen on this slide, there are the several taxonomic tools that can be used for the identification of the species or the identification of the stock or the population. Okay, so the very first is a morphological tools or the morphological marker, where what we do, we basically record the morphometric and meristic data. We make the comparison which can be used, okay, to identify the species, population, or a stock. Okay, that is basically a classical taxonomic tool where the identification of a species is based on the morphology of the individual. Okay, then we have studied some of the more modern taxonomic tool, where we have studied the karyotaxonomy. Okay, in karyotaxonomy, what we have seen that by cytogenetic characterization of the species or by making the karyotype of a species, we can go for the species identification. In that class we have taken the example of one of the genus Channa, where three species have three different diploid chromosome numbers. So basically, simply by making the karyotype, we can identify the species. Or we have taken the example of mahasheers, okay, tall species, where what we have seen, the different species of the genus tall have same chromosome number, but their karyotype formula is different. Karyotype formula is different means the number of metacentric, submetacentric, telocentric, and telocentric chromosomes are variable. So even though if the diploid chromosome number is the same in the species, we can identify based on the karyotaxonomy if there is a variation in the karyotype formula. Okay, and we have also seen how the karyotaxonomy can be used to identify the population or the stock. Okay, now today we'll see some of the biochemical markers. Biochemical, the protein markers. The protein marker is a biochemical tool or a biochemical marker that can be used for the identification of the species. Then we have already taken the DNA barcoding, where we have seen the DNA based information is used for the identification of species. Okay, and in very next class we will take the DNA markers. Okay, barcoding we have already taken, another DNA markers we will see. So today we will go for the protein markers, which are actually the biochemical marker. Okay, so first this is how just a morphological marker, where the species identification by morphological comparison, karyotaxonomy, species identification by karyotyping, then DNA barcoding, which is a DNA based species identification system, then protein marker, where we see the species or stock identification by identification of protein variants. Okay, then the DNA marker, this is basically a method or technique or a tool to identify the species or a stock based on the variation present in the individual's DNA. Okay, so today we will take the protein marker. First we will see what are the marker, then we will see what should be the properties of the marker, a good marker. Then we will see what are the protein common or a popular protein markers. Then what are the methodology in these protein for this protein marker analysis. And then we will go how it is useful for taxonomy, or how it is useful for a species or a stock identification in group of organisms, including the fishes. Okay, so first we'll see what is marker. Okay, so marker, as the name suggests, anything that can mark, tag, or identify, um, that can mark, tag, or identify the uh, some which anything. Okay, suppose there is suppose we are in a classroom. Okay, we are total 25 students. Out of 25 students, 24 students were in uniform. Okay, and one student, um, he came with a odd color of shirt? Suppose red color shirt, because that is not the color of our uniform. The entire class in a blue color shirt, and one student come with a red color shirt. Okay, so that if we use that red color as a mark or a tag to identify the student who is not in the uniform, that is marker. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Okay, because that color tag a particular individual ki yes, this is not in a uniform. Or suppose I have written suppose 10 letters. Suppose I have written a 10 base long sequence, DNA sequence. Okay, AACTGG CAC something. Okay, and if I want to tag some nucleotide out of that 10 base stretch which I have written on the board, what I did, I have encircled one letter. So basically encircling or underlining that particular one letter support, I have encircled the cytosine which is present on 5th position. Okay, so that is also kind of tagging or marking. So suppose I have written so many DNA sequences, 10 basis sequences 20 times on a board, and then I have shuffled the sequences. Now you have to identify the 10 base sequence which I have in which the cytosine I have tagged. So how would we able to identify? You will go for a 10 base sequence where cytosine at 5th position is encircled. Is it? Okay, so this way what I did, this way I mark particular nucleotide in that 10 base sequence. Okay, so if you use anything to mark or tag or identify something from group, okay, that is marker. Okay, and marker can be of any type. Suppose the morphological marker, size, shape, color, etc. So, that which we use for the where we use the morphological character of the organism. The biochemical markers that we are going to take today, the examples are isozymes, proteins, some secondary metabolites, allozymes, and then the molecular markers, so the DNA level markers, where the variation at allelic level can be in the genome can be observed at the level of morphology. Okay, so this is what marker. Now the properties of marker. Okay, what should be the properties of a good or a perfect marker? What should be the property of a good marker or a perfect marker? The very first, it should be polymorphic. It should be polymorphic. Anyone can tell me what does mean polymorphic marker? Anyone?
Ma'am, different form.
Different form means what? I'm telling you, a marker is a polymorphic. Polymorphic, poly means different, morph means form. So how you can explain the polymorphic marker means what? Suppose if I'm taking any character, okay, whether it is the level of morphology, whether it is level of protein, whether it is a level of DNA, okay, whatever the marker we are taking, okay, that should be that should exist in the alternate form. Suppose I'm taking the color of a fin in a fish as a marker, okay, getting my point? So what should be, if I'm taking a color, suppose if I'm taking a color of a fin, the fin color is red. Okay, so if I have taken the 100 fishes of that species, okay, all 100 fishes carry the red color of fin. So does it a marker? Yes or no? I was telling, if I'm talking about the polymorphic character, this marker should be polymorphic. And suppose I'm considering one of the morphological markers. Suppose the fin color in some species is red in color. Okay, the fins of a fish is red in color. So suppose we have collected 100 fishes. All the fishes have red or 1,000 or 10,000 fish, or the individual of the same species. Okay, and all the fishes have red color of fins. Okay, so that red color fin can be serve as a marker. Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Why? Because this is a monomorphic character. Na? All the fishes have red color of fins. But suppose few fishes have color of fins. Okay. Few fishes have black color of fin and some fishes have red color of fins. Now that in that particular species, the fin color can be used as a marker. Okay, so where we can say that yes, there are some these individuals of a same species carry some variation, and that variation is visible in the form of fin colors. Some species have red color of fins and some have black color of fins. Okay, so a good marker should be polymorphic. Okay, then reproducible. Okay, reproducible means what? Anyone can explain?
मैम जो अगेन रिप्रोड्यूस कर सके
Ma'am, it can be used to identify other.
Reproducible means it always give a consistent result. Suppose I have I just take this example of fin color only. I have taken 10 species. Okay, species 1 and 3 have black color of fins. Okay, and rest of the species have red color of fins. Suppose suppose on day 1 I have made the observation species 1 and species 3 have black fins and other fishes have red fins. After 100 days, okay, or 10 days or 50 days, again I have taken observation of those only those 10 species. So that day also, the species 1 and 3 fin color should be black. It should not change due to the environment, due to the feed, due to the color. Okay. Or actually, this example is not very clear. I just take another one. Suppose I have taken particular marker. Suppose protein marker I am taking. Just take the example of a protein marker. What I have done, I have taken the blood of the 10 species, two individual which have some genetic variation of a same species. Okay, they're supposed to carry a genetic, if they are carrying the genetic variation, we have taken two individual of a same species, and from these two individual, what I did, I have taken the blood sample from those two fishes. Okay, and from those blood samples I have simply prepared the solution, and that sample has been um, we separated the protein present in the blood sample of these two fishes. Okay, we have separated the protein by some methods like electrophoresis or proteins. We have chosen a standard protein separation method. Okay, we separated the protein based on their size. Okay, so what we found that in the species 1 there were 4 proteins, each are of 100 base pair, 200 base pair, 100 kilodalton, 200 kilodalton, 300 kilodalton and 400 kilodalton. Okay, and species 2, what we found, there is also a 4 proteins. Okay, 100 kilodalton, 200 kilodalton, 300 kilodalton and 500 kilodalton. Okay, first species have 100, 200, 300, 400, and second species have 100, 200, 300 and 500. Okay, so if species 1 have 4 bands, species 2 have 4 band, there is a variation in a one band. In one species there is a 400 kilodalton band, and in the second species there is a 500 kilodalton band. So suppose when we take the blood sample, suppose I have taken blood sample, we got this result. Suppose now I have taken the tissue sample from 200 after 10 days, again I have taken the blood sample of those two individuals, 10 days, 20 days, and then I again did the protein separation of the sample. So even 10th day, okay, the same protein pattern should be there, means species 1 should show the 100, 200, 300, 400 kilodalton band pattern of protein, and species 2 should show 1, 2, 3 and 5. Even I then again I have written the next day, then through the very next day and next day. Suppose I did the same procedure for 10 times, so 10 times it should gives the same result, means the information, the result which is coming after the testing, it should be reproducible, means it should comes it should give the same result. Okay, or we can see suppose any other example from general life we should take. Suppose someone is diabetic, okay, and there are several kits, okay, and these sugar meters are there, okay, digital sugar meters are there, okay. So how you can say that this particular, the reading which is given by a particular glucometer that you are using is authenticated, means how we can reliable, how can you say that the glucometer we are using or I am using is good, okay, is giving the reliable value, means the value it is showing, the blood sugar value it is showing on the screen is correct or not. So what, how could we test that? Okay, we should use a simple test method. Suppose one I have taken my blood sugar from some laboratory test I have given use, then I have used the glycometer from one company, then the glycometer from the second company or third company. And what we have found that the glycometer which is I am using, which shows the value similar to the 2-3 test. Okay, means a value means and then suppose on the same time, same diet, on the same level, I have again used my glycometer and it again giving the same value. Okay, then I use it for the third time, it giving the same value, the fourth time giving the same value, means every time it is giving the same value or the reproducible result. Okay, so it means it is doesn't giving the false positive or false negative results. Okay, so the marker should be the reproducible. Is it clear to everyone what does mean the reproducible marker? Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
now next is easy to use and economical. Okay, whatever the marker we are using for the identification, for any purpose, for identification or any other purpose, it should be easy to use. Okay, so that anyone can use. It should not involve so many heavy, it should not call the heavy infrastructure, uh, means a high expertise. Okay, so it can be easy to use. Economical means a test cost should not be very high. Okay, if your marker is not economical, if it is not cost effective, you cannot apply that marker to analyze more number of individual, the large population or the huge stock. Okay, so whenever a property of a good marker is also it is easy to use, means it doesn't require a very high level of expertise. Okay, a simple protocol, if you follow step by step, it will give a consistent reproducible result. And second, the cost should not be very high, it should be cost effective, it should be economical, so that that marker you can use on large number of samples. Okay, then the fourth one is the high throughput. Okay, if you can, if there is a possibility of automation, means manually नहीं करके आप machines के through automatic कर सकते हैं. Or if you can combine your marker with some other markers. Okay, suppose one marker give one kind of pattern, another gives second kind of pattern. If you use all those markers together, then it gives a more reliable, more authenticated results. Okay, so if you can use that marker for the automation, as well as you can combine it with the different markers, okay, in a single reaction or a single process, then it is these are some of the properties of a good or a perfect marker. Now come to the biochemical marker. So basically biochemical markers, what we see here, we use the protein, which is protein variants. Basically we study the protein variants, which is the result of gene expression from a, it may be the different allele of a same gene or a different gene. Okay, where which means I can say that there is enzyme 1, okay, which is coded by 2 alleles, allele A and a B of a same locus. Okay, and then suppose there is another enzyme B, okay, which B1 and B2. Okay, so B1 is a gene located on one location, and B2 is a gene which is located on the another location. But B1 and B2, they both means translated into a same protein. Okay, so we'll see, it will detail what are different allele and locus enzymes pattern and how it can be used for this gene means for species or stock identification. So here basically we will study the biochemical marker or the protein markers that can be used for identification. So first we'll see what are the common and popular biochemical markers. So today we are going to see the two very common biochemical marker, the isozymes and allozymes. Okay, so we'll see isozyme and allozyme one by one, and we'll see how isozyme analysis or allozyme analysis will help in the identification of this of a species or a stock or a population. Okay, so these are two, the allozyme and isozyme. Okay, so first the isozyme. So the isozyme was first described by the Hunter and Market. Okay, what they defined that the different variation of the same enzyme having same function and present in the same individual. Okay, or you can see that the multiple form. Okay, the multiple form of a same enzyme sharing a catalytic activity from a same individual. Is it clear? Multiple form of a same enzyme. Suppose one enzyme, I'm taking the example alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, alcohol dehydrogenase is an enzyme. Okay, it exists in several forms. Alcohol dehydrogenase 1, alcohol dehydrogenase 2, alcohol dehydrogenase 3, alcohol dehydrogenase 4. Okay, now a same individual, okay, have alcohol dehydrogenase 1 also and alcohol dehydrogenase 2 also. Okay, and the function of the alcohol dehydrogenase 1 and the dehydrogenase 2 is same. Is it clear? Okay, but they are present on two different genes, two different gene locus. Is it clear? Alcohol, there is the same enzyme, two forms, alcohol dehydrogenase 1 and 2, both are present in the same individual. Okay, they have the identical function, means same catalytic activity, but they are coded by or expressed by two different locus. Is it clear? So that's why they are known as isozymes. Okay, clear to everyone? Now we'll see now we'll see the example. Just here see. Okay, this is a chromosome. This is one locus, alcohol dehydrogenase 1 locus, and this is alcohol dehydrogenase 2 locus. Okay, this is a genotype F and S. Okay, means there is a two type of genotype. One have the S type SS subunit and few have FS. There is two type of locus, one code for the F subunit and another code for the S subunit, or we can say that the one code for the F allele and another is code for the S allele. So what happened if in the same individual, if the expression will do, or after a translation, what will happen? The SS dimer of the alcohol dehydrogenase will form, the FS dimer of the alcohol dehydrogenase is formed, or the FF dimer of the means alcohol dehydrogenase is formed. So what happened if there is, suppose there is a one individual or a one fish in which the FF dimer, then what happened? A protein extract of the protein sample has been taken, or the blood sample or any tissue sample, body fluid has been taken, and it was separated on the by electrophoresis. Then what we found? We found that one fish or the one individual which have FF, the band for the FF dimer, the band for the FS dimer, then band for the SS dimer. Okay, but there are few which have only band for the FF dimer. Okay, and there are few which have the band for the SS dimer. You are able to see there are few individuals which have these three forms: FF, FS, SS, FF, FS, SS. Then there are few which have only FF. Then there are few which have only SSS. Then there are few which have all three. Then only SS, then FF, SS, SS. Okay. So this way, what we can see, that we can see the variation in the individual, means by simply analyzing which type, how many forms of a alcohol dehydrogenase is present in an individuals. Okay, that can be used for the identification of the species. Means, suppose in one individual there is only one form exists, in another individual all three forms exist. Okay, in the third individual the second form exists, in a one individual one form exists. So this way, because it show variation individual to individual for same species. Okay, so this way we can use this isozyme technology or isozyme marker for identification of different, for variation exist among the individual of a species. Is it clear to everyone? Clear? Okay, now we'll see the next one. The allozyme. The term allozyme refer to those genetically different form of an enzyme that are produced by different allele at the same locus. Okay, in isozyme, what we have seen, there is a different forms of same different forms, which is by the genes or allele which is present on different locus. Okay, allozyme, this is also a different form of a same enzyme but coded by the different allele present at the same locus. Okay, this slide will make you clear what is the difference between the isozyme and allozyme. Just see, there is a gene A, this is allele capital A small a, alternate allele. Okay, so what happened? The means allele A will code for one form and small a allele will code for the another form. Means two different form of a same enzyme is coded by the different allele which is present on the same locus. Okay, that is known as the allozyme. And in case of isozyme, what happened? There is a different the different forms of a same enzyme which have the same catalytic reaction. Okay, means they catalyze the same reaction. Here they are it is catalyzing the same reaction, the conversion of A plus B into AB. Okay, but this enzyme, you see, the E1 is coded by gene A and E2 is coded by gene B. The function of E1 and E2 is same. Means E1 is also catalyze the conversion of A plus B into AB, and E2 will also catalyze the conversion of A plus B into AB. Okay, but they are, means they have same catalytic activity, means they're same enzyme but different forms. But these two different forms are coded by from two different locus, from two different genes which is present on two different locus. Okay, so this is the difference between the allozyme and isozyme. Both the techniques, because here if the same different allele of a same gene, they have, means genetic variation, so it can be used for same purpose, identification of this stock, and the isozyme also have the same purpose. So just see how this allelic variation which is reflected in the enzyme, how we can identify and how it can be used for identification. So first we'll discuss what are the how it can be used. Okay, so the very first thing, okay, I am telling two different alleles coding two different forms. Okay, so how we can differentiate these two different forms? In the previous slide I have told one form is coded by, if I'm talking about allozyme, the one form is coded by capital A and the another form is coded by the small a allele. Okay, or dominant or recessive allele कह सकते हैं आप. Okay, so a capital A allele and the small a allele coding two different forms. Okay, two different forms in terms of what? They have some variation in their sequences. They have some variation in their amino acid sequences. So if there is a variation in the amino acid sequences, so what happened? The amino acids are basically a charged molecule. Okay, a protein is a charged molecule, and their charge is based on what? Based on the amino acid residues of a particular protein. If the positively charged amino acid proteins are more, or amino acids are more, the protein will be protein carry more positive charge. If the negative charge amino acids are more in a protein, that protein will carry the negative charge. So if a same if the two different form have variation in their sequence, their amino acid sequence, so what will happen? They have some difference in their overall charges as well as their conformation. Conformation means, when we, if you remember, when we have seen the protein structure, we talked about the primary, secondary, tertiary, or quaternary level of protein folding. Okay, so a straight polypeptide chain is not functional. When it get folded into a suitable conformation, then only it is functional. Okay, it catalyze some reaction, or it gives, it perform a particular function. Okay, so if suppose they have same some change in their amino acid sequence, so it will result into the change in the net charge as well as the conformation of the enzyme. Okay, or the final folding of the enzyme. So that variation, if that variation exists in the two form of a same enzyme, and when we separate that enzyme from a gel, through a gel, okay, of some technique which is known as the protein electrophoresis, means basically we are running the sample, we are applying the charge on the protein. Okay, so what happened? Most of the protein carry the negative charge. Okay, so what happened? The protein will migrate from negative charge to the negative to the positive means reason. Or if there is a even this is when, if there is a variation in their net charge, even if we go for suppose if we solve, if we if somehow we use a method, we use a chemical, we use a reagent that we make the net charge zero. Okay, we made the charge equal on all the sample. Okay, but if they have the a change in the conformation or the size, then also it show a different migration pattern in the electrophoresis. So if a different form of a same enzyme have different charges, their movement on the gel will be different. So the speed of the band migration, means the protein migration from negative to the positive end, okay, will be different. So that variation we can determine, okay, simply by the migration. If there is a variation in the net charge, so what will be, the migration will be different. And if migration will be different, the different band pattern will appear. And if we stain that protein, there is very some of the protein the staining dyes are there. If we stain with that, then what we found that yes, these particular different bands represent the different allelic form of the enzyme. Okay, so basically the general method for detection include the extraction. Extraction means a sample. Okay, you have to prepare a sample, whether it may be the biological fluid, any biological fluid, it may be the blood, it may be the peritoneal fluid. Okay, it may be the tissue extract we simply made by macerating the tissue. And then you take that sample, you filter that sample, and that can be applied, and that will be applied on a matrix or a gel, and then followed by the electrophoresis. Electrophoresis, where we actually supply the electric field on the gel, and proteins have net negative charge, so they will migrate from negative to the positive end of the field, means from cathode to the anode. And based on their different charges, their different conformation, their migration pattern will be different. Okay, and if a different allelic forms exist, so different bands will present. If the same allelic form will present, the same the single band will appear. Okay, so this way we can identify, this way we can determine the variation exists among the different individual of a same species. Okay, so here you can see, here we can see that suppose if FS genotype is there, means 2 dimer F, and then there will be 2 bands. Okay, because this individual have both the both the form of a particular alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. Here we can see that it has only single band of a smaller size, so that individual have only SS dimer, means only S is S form, and here FF or single band of higher, means single band of a higher weight, so it is of FF size. So with this method we can analyze the variation in the individual. Is it clear to everyone? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we will discuss some of the advantage, because yes, it is a marker, so it has some advantage as well as some disadvantage. So we'll see first what are the advantages. It's very simple, fast, and relatively low cost. Okay, so here what we need a sample, so that can be any biological fluid, the blood, the peritoneal fluid, the tissue extract. Okay, that you have to basically filter. Okay, and then you simply load the sample on the gel through the gel electrophoresis, apply the electric field on the gel. Gel can be of the acrylamide. Basically, acrylamide is the most preferred gelling medium which is used for the separation of the protein. And then you will, and if you stain your gel with a particular chemical, you will be able to score the different bands. Okay, so it is very simple technique, relatively fast, low cost. Then the source of sample, it can be any biological food. I have told it can be from the bacterial culture, or it can be the animal fluid. Okay, and then I have told the electrophoretic separation and staining is very simple. Okay, then the genetic interpretation is also very straightforward. If 2 bands are present, means both the isoforms are is present in one individual. If form 1 is a band which corresponds to form 1, then we can see that this individual have only form 1. If the band corresponding to form 2 is present, then we can say that yes, this individual have form 2. And if individual have both form 1 and form 2, then we can say that yes, this individual have both the form. Okay, so the interpretation of the result is very straightforward. Okay, and it can allow the screening of large number of loci. Okay, suppose this is, here I have taken only one, I here considering only one. Okay, alcohol dehydrogenase, but altogether if you are running the sample, you are running the biological fluid, so that have several proteins. Suppose if an individual have 30 to 40 proteins which are polymorphic. Okay, or 30 to 40 allozymes which exist in a individual. Okay, in two different isoforms. Okay, so in a single gel electrophoresis, by separating a single sample, you can analyze the isoforms of 30 to 40 different allozymes in a single gel. Okay, so at a time you can analyze or screen the large number of locus. Okay, so this is the advantage of the allozyme or the isozyme. And then what are the disadvantage? Okay, the very thing. Okay, from the small quantity of tissue you cannot make the allozyme. Okay, for electrophoresis, okay, you need a significant amount of sample, the fluid, biological fluid, for allozyme analysis. Suppose if you have to, suppose when we were studying the DNA barcoding, what I have told, even if the larvae is present, okay, or even from a processed food, we can identify this species. But here, because for the electrophoresis, we need a huge amount of sample, a large amount of sample, that we cannot take from the smaller sample like larvae. Okay, so small quantity, we cannot, from small quantity or from a small amount of sample, we cannot do the allozyme analysis. Okay, that is why this is a disadvantage. We cannot use this technique for a small quantity of sample. Okay, then second, in so what happened, only small fraction of enzyme locus, only small number of enzymes are allozymically polymorphic. I have told na ki marker should be polymorphic, means two variant should exist, okay, in a population. So there are only few enzymes which appears to be allozymically polymorphic in many species. Okay, so that is another disadvantage. Then this techniques or this method requires or demands the freshness of the tissue sample. Means the tissue sample should be fresh, because in the older sample the protein will degrade. Okay, so with degraded sample, a sample which have a degraded protein, you won't get any band pattern on your gel after staining. Okay, or suppose, so first this is a advantage. You need a fresh sample. Suppose if an older tissue is there, the smaller sample, older sample is there, you cannot go for the alloenzyme analysis. Suppose you have taken a sample and this travel takes 3 to 4 days from your site of sample collection to your laboratory. Okay, so from there you cannot go for the allozyme. If you remember the DNA barcoding technique, the class, what I have shown you one example of the forensic application of barcoding. That time I have told we discussed the Canur case of this one fish case, no, forensic case. What they did, they have taken the flesh. That flesh was given to the NVFGR a day later, after so many days. Then they analyze and they given the results, and they confirm that yes, this flesh or this meat is belong to a endangered species. But if they using the allozyme technique, that sample is not suitable. Okay, suppose if they have to use the allozyme to identify the species, that sample is not suitable. Okay, so this is one of the limitation. Another, suppose if you have to do the uh, means allozyme pattern, if you see the expression pattern in tissue specific manner. Suppose you want to see the expression of particular gene in the heart tissue. So what, you have to sacrifice the animal, because you have to take the heart out, then you have to make the tissue suspension of the heart tissue, and then you have to do the sampling. Okay, so if your sampling is tissue specific, you have to sacrifice the species. Then or otherwise, if you have to maintain the freshness of the tissue sample, so you need cryogenetic storage. Means you have to preserve the sample in ultra low temperature, means minus 186 degree or minus 196 degree. Means you have to preserve your sample in the liquid nitrogen, so that it preserve the enzyme activity, and then you can analyze. So always means preserving your sample in the cryoprotectant is one of the hindrance or disadvantage or serious constraint of this technique. Okay, so these are some of the disadvantages of allozyme marker or the protein markers that can be used for the stock or population studies. Okay, there are some other disadvantage also. Okay, I have, suppose this is in this technique we are able to see variation at protein level. If there is a variation at the protein level, means if there is a variation in the amino acid sequence of a polypeptide chain, then only we will able to determine, to see the difference. Okay, then only we are able to see the difference in the different form when it appears in the form of amino acid difference in the polypeptide. But what happened if you have gone through the your genetic code now? What happened, suppose a same amino acid is coded by different codon, is it? Suppose here you see the proline. Okay, in proline it is coded by CCU, CCC, CCA, CCG, is it? If your amino, suppose one individual, suppose you are particularly analyzing one protein or one enzyme. Okay, so individual one, this enzyme is have the proline which is coded by the codon CCU. Another individual also have a proline, but it is coded by triple C. Okay, and the third individual also have a proline which is coded by CCA. Okay, and then fourth individual also have the proline on the same position, but it is coded by CCG. So what happened? These four in these four individual, the variation exists at the level of DNA. Is it? but it is not translating in the form of protein. Means that 4 individual are variable at this position. The individual 1 have U at third position, individual 2 have C at third position, and individual 3 have A at third position, and individual 4 have a G at third position. Okay. Their sequence is not same, but it is coding same amino acid. So means variation exists at the stage of nucleotide sequence, but we are not able to detect it by protein electrophoresis. So we are not able to detect this variation by the allozyme analysis or the protein marker analysis or protein electrophoresis. Okay, and sometime what happened? Okay, sometime even the different amino acid is there. Okay, two isoforms they have at, suppose if enzyme is of 10 amino acid long. Okay, at 7th amino acid position, one have means your aspartic acid, and the 7th position another isoform had glutamic acid. So at 7th position, two isomers, two isoform, one isoform have aspartic acid and another form have glutamic acid. So what will happen? Both the amino acid are negatively charged amino acid. Okay, so the net result, the overall charge in these two protein, two isoforms is means overall net charge, there is no difference overall charge of two different forms. Okay, so what will happen if there is a no difference in the overall charge of two isoforms in the protein of n, then after you won't get any difference in the protein electrophoresis. So you will not be able to detect the even there is a two different amino acid, but because they have the same amino acid, they have the same charge, so there will be no charge difference between two forms. So what will happen when you go for the electrophoresis? You won't get any difference between these two individual. One carry the aspartic acid at 7th position, another carry the glutamic acid at 7th position. Okay, so these are the some of the disadvantage of the protein markers. Okay, so this is about today's class.